Plami, and in this episode of Plami's Thoughts On, I'm gonna be sharing my thoughts to the mid-season finale of the 7th season of one of my favorite shows ever, Fear the Walking Dead. And I gotta say, I expected a lot of things from this episode. I expected really cool standouts between characters, epic moments, and just a really good time. But what I did not expect was Alicia losing her fucking arm. Like, what the hell was this episode even? It straight up feels like something that I would have dreamt up. Because I've dreamt about The Walking Dead, and I've dreamt some really crazy shit that maybe I could get into in some other video, but this straight up feels like a fanfiction slash fever dream. And it really doesn't help the fact that World Beyond's series finale was debatably crazier or just as crazy as this episode. So it really feels like I'm in the Matrix or something. Man, it's just so crazy. And yeah, by the way, there are gonna be spoilers about World Beyond in this video. It's still gonna get its own review and its own video and everything, but I am gonna mention it a couple of times because there is certain connections and comparison that I wanna make with that show and with that episode. But holy shit. I honestly don't even know where to begin with my review for this episode. I'm not gonna recap the whole episode or anything like that, but Jesus Christ, where do I begin? I knew that this episode was gonna be a flashback and that it was gonna feature Will, so I wasn't surprised by that, but I did enjoy seeing him again because I did really like his character and the actor in the first episode. So I loved seeing him again, and my love for that character is even more amplified after this. But it was really funny to see Will be such a pussy in this episode compared to how much of a badass he was in episode 1. Because in this episode, and we already kind of knew that from episode 1, that until Alicia and Teddy's people showed up in the bunker, Will actually hadn't left the bunker, so he hadn't dealt with walkers before, which we see him do that in this episode. So him meeting Alicia in a way made him stronger, so that was a really cool thing about this episode. But I liked it. I feel like it improves his character even more, and I feel like it makes the first episode of this season that much better because of that, because it really improves his character a lot and makes him even more three-dimensional. But I feel like, for me at least, he's definitely one of my favorite characters. I mean, it's hard to say because he's very much like a one-episode character, so it's hard to judge one-episode characters compared to more long-running characters, but he's definitely one of the most memorable and interesting one-off characters for me. He's very much up there with the characters of like Troy and Nick, especially for this show. He's definitely one of my favorite characters of this show. But yeah, I did not expect Alicia to lose her arm in this episode, and they honestly really did a good job in twisting that twist quite a lot and getting quite a lot of different emotions from me this episode, because I mean, I was just on a roller coaster throughout the episode. At first I was a little bored and confused in the beginning of the episode because I was just confused about what the hell was happening and where was this episode going, and this was very much an intentional thing from the writers. I'm sure of it, and it was not like just a consequence of how they wrote it. They intentionally wrote it like this because even Morgan was fucking confused about what was happening and why Alicia was after that walker and everything. So that was very much intentional. But after that, I was really pissed off when Alicia got bit trying to save Morgan and the walker from getting killed. I was shocked at that. And I was pissed off because I knew that afterwards all I would be seeing online is people getting pissed off at the writers and the showrunners for killing Alicia. And people did get mad, even though it's not really clear whether she's gonna die or not. But I was just pissed off at the writers that they, instead of trying to kind of please the fans in some way and alleviate some of the hate that the show gets, no, they kind of double down. And it really pissed me off. But then it was revealed that she was fine because she was already bit in the past. And before we learned that, or I guess as we saw her get bit in the past, I was like, okay, that was a while ago. That was like 3 months ago. So that means that she's immune, I guess? That's kind of the first thing that came to mind. And that could still very much be the case, considering what happened in The Walking Dead World Beyond. It's very much possible. Or another possibility that I'm gonna mention in The Walking Dead World Beyond review, so make sure to check out that video. But yeah, at that point I was like, okay, so are they gonna make her immune? But I guess not, because throughout the episode we learned that the infection is still inside her, which is just fucking ridiculous and is completely against anything that we've learned about the walkers and how they turn and everything for the past 10 fucking years. Because the way we know it works is you get bit and at most you die a couple days later from the fever. We haven't seen anybody survive more than a couple days, and even a couple of days is a stretch. Usually you die the same day. And depending on where you got bit and how much you bled, you'll probably die even quicker than that. But if you only have to deal with the bite, you probably will survive a little longer. But definitely not 3 fucking months. Because that's pretty much how much time has passed since the nuke fell, which is the time where when Alicia got bit. And like, I can understand and buy surviving a bite for a week. 2 weeks. Hell, I'll give you a month. But 3 months? Nah, that just doesn't make any fucking sense. And yes, throughout this episode, Alicia did look sick. I was wondering what that was about. And I was worried at certain times that they were gonna reveal to us that she was either sick from the radiation or he was bit. And it turned out to be the case. I had my suspicions because she kept looking very, very sick. Especially like with the black circles under her eyes. That definitely was the dead giveaway. But I was still fucking shocked. Like, I'm kind of still shocked. I can't stop thinking about it because of how ridiculous it feels. Especially like the image of her with her prosthetic arm with the bones from her real arm put on like a metal plate or whatever it is. Like that image of hers, Jesus Christ. That I did not ever expect to see. Like, this is some crazy shit. Like, regardless of where they take this, I would say they at least have the fucking balls to do it. Like, the main show didn't have the balls to take Rick's arm off. They barely did it to Aaron. But this show took off Alicia's arm. Like, I've never thought I'd see something like this. It's kind of crazy to think about it, especially when you look back to like the first 3 seasons, how crazier it has gotten. Personally, it doesn't really bother me that much, because again, the more time passes since the first 3 seasons, the more it doesn't bother me the same way the main show's evolution in terms of tone doesn't really bother me, because it's been 10 years in the case of the main show and 7 years in the case of Fear the Walking Dead. It was gonna change tonally one way or another. So that doesn't bother me, but it's just kind of crazy to think that that teenage girl from season 1 is like now this badass survivor who lost her fucking arm. It's insane. And honestly, this is more insane, I feel like, than the goddamn 100. Because the actress for Alicia is in that show, and I still haven't watched that show, although I do plan on watching it at some point in the future. But currently I'm still reviewing and watching through the Charmed TV series, the original one. So once I'm done with that is when I'm gonna move to the 100. And I know that show is very over the top, especially in the later seasons. It becomes just fucking ridiculous. But I feel like this is kind of more ridiculous because this is supposed to be like a more grounded show, grounded universe and everything. And to have this shit just feels really fucking crazy. It's still not crazy enough to like break my suspension of disbelief, but it's definitely much more comic booky. Especially even by comparison, season 4 and 5 are very down to earth. Like, holy fucking shit. At the very least, one thing people who hate the show right now and constantly criticize it have to admit is that the writers don't fuck around. Like, they've done some crazy shit in the last 2 seasons. And I was, in the beginning of the season, and even before this season started, I was wondering, like, how could you possibly top what happened last season with the nuke? I thought that it's gonna be cool for a few episodes to experience the consequences of the nuke, but I was really wondering, where could you possibly take the show going forward to make it more exciting? And goddamn did they take it in an exciting direction. Which is still not really clear exactly what it means, because she could either die or survive. I really hope she survives, but it's fucking crazy regardless. And yeah, even as I watch the episode and like getting to the conclusion and everything of her being not knowing really how much longer she has to live and her thinking that she's gonna die, regardless of anything, if she dies, I really feel like I'm probably not gonna keep watching the show. Not because I'm like pissed off necessarily at the writers for killing her, but because I feel like I won't give a shit. And again, like, I'm not like the craziest Alicia fan or anything. I do enjoy her a lot, especially, honestly, in my opinion, the current showrunners have done more for her character and for the actress than the original 3 seasons ever did. Because in the original 3 seasons, I really didn't care about Alicia at all, and she was not really an entertaining character or an actress that much. I don't think she was bad, but she wasn't necessarily that interesting. But in season 6 and 7 especially, she's been so fucking badass and cool, and the actress as well has been actually entertaining. She has gravitas and charisma, and I actually enjoy her scenes in a way that I enjoy Negan's scenes, for example. She has weight that she didn't have in the original seasons, and that could be because she improved as an actress over those years. But I just enjoy her more now. In my opinion, that's why the writers have done her more justice in that regard. And I just feel like I'm not gonna give a shit about the show if you kill her, because, I mean, she's the last surviving character. Well, not necessarily the last surviving character from season 1, because we still have Daniel and Strand, but she's the last surviving member of the Clark family. So I feel like if you lose her, you might as well end the show. Yeah, I honestly think if you're gonna kill her, probably end the show, honestly. And at best, maybe make a separate spin-off with the rest of the characters, but just end Fear the Walking Dead, because it's not gonna be Fear the Walking Dead without her, and it's very likely that we're also gonna be losing Strand as well, and at that point, only Daniel is the character surviving from season 1, and I really fucking doubt that they're gonna give him the spotlight. And not having any amount of spotlight on any character from the three OG seasons of Fear the Walking Dead just feels wrong. But yeah, I don't know. It was a really fucking crazy, unbelievable episode, honestly. And we also got a little bit of an introduction to, I guess, the main villain, or one of the antagonists of the season, which is the leader of the Stalkers. I don't remember his name. They did say his name in this episode. Arnold, was it? But he reminds me of somebody. I feel like his general way of behaving reminds me of the Saviors, which is interesting. And I don't know whether I'm gonna like him or not, because we've barely seen anything from him, but I don't think he's gonna really be as good of a villain as Teddy, because honestly, we had Teddy for like not even a minute in this episode. It was just like a flashback again, part of the flashback. They literally reused the footage from season 6, episode 14. And I was reminded again of how charismatic and awesome character Teddy was. Like, he's straight up the best villain of Fear the Walking Dead, in my opinion. And I gotta say, in the beginning of the episode, seeing Alicia be this badass, trying to survive with a bunch of lunatics was really satisfying. Especially when she ended up saving Will. That was really fucking badass. But yeah, man, this was such a crazy episode. I also want to commend Alicia Debnam Carey, the actress for Alicia, for her fucking commitment to the scene in which she had to cut her arm off. Because she screamed the fuck out of it, dude. Like, that was some real emotion. One would think they actually cut her goddamn arm off. Although, I do want to say about the scene there where she gets beaten by the walker. It's really fucking confusing about why she didn't kill it. Because A, she had her little weapon thingy with her. So why couldn't she just stab the walker? It's not like she's a newbie or anything. And on the other hand, she had dozens of rocks. And she ended up using a rock to smack the head of the walker. So why didn't you kill it before it beat you? I don't get it. It's a little contrived in that regard. I'm not bothered by it because it ended up in a cool twist and a cool visual in terms of how cool she looks now as a badass leader. But it is a little contrived. And I want to ask, what the fuck is with these both shows, Fear the Walking Dead and World Beyond, and everybody losing their goddamn left arms in these 2 episodes? Like, Jesus Christ. Why? Oh my god. And that's the thing, I thought Fear the Walking Dead was gonna be the thing that shocked me. I didn't think at all that World Beyond was gonna get anywhere close to exciting or shocking as this episode of Fear was, goddamn. And I guess I also want to commend Fear the Walking Dead for this episode's visuals, because there were some really fucking good visuals in this episode. And I already really know what I'm gonna pick for the thumbnail of this video, because there are some solid contenders. You obviously know by the time you're watching this video what I'm gonna do for the thumbnail, but there were some really good shots. And that's the thing. I didn't realize how not great or not as good the visuals of this season have been. I mean, the first episode was really good and really refreshing to see, because we've never seen anything like this before in the Walking Dead universe, so it was really cool to see. But some of the other episodes, well, personally didn't bother me, and I still enjoyed them, and I still think they look visually really fucking cool. I don't know, they just didn't really give me the feeling that I got from the visuals in this episode and episode 1 from this season. They just feel like they were on another level. It was just really cool. So many really cool shots, like some of the shots when Morgan and Alicia were on the rock near the lake, which really fun callback to season 3 when Alicia ended up jumping into a lake. She did that here as well. Or one of the shots when they were following the Vasquez walker in the dark, when it was going towards the Strand's tower. There was a really cool shot there, and it's a very solid contender for the thumbnail for this video, but we'll see. But yeah, I guess we are going to war now. At the end, because at the end of the episode, Strand and Alicia kind of get into a fight that was already established. And it's a little weird about Strand's motivations in this season, because in the beginning, even in the first episode, he wanted to find Alicia, and then he didn't want to, and then killed Will. And then even in last episode, he talked to Morgan about wanting to find Alicia, and then because he found out that Morgan tried to kill him, he didn't want to get to Alicia again, or whatever. And then in this episode, again, he wants to find Alicia. He wants to get her to live with him and help him. But again, when she found out that he killed Will, instead of like apologizing or saying that he changed or anything, he doubles down. So we kind of end up in this standoff situation where there's gonna be a war between the two of them. Which is kind of interesting, considering how the original showrunner for Fear the Walking Dead, Dave Erickson, planned out, I guess, a standoff or a war or a fight between two of the OG characters. So I guess the writers have decided to employ that story into their story. That's interesting. But yeah, man, I just cannot get over the fact that Alicia lost her arm. She's still carrying the bones of her arm on her arm. And she's supposedly still infected? I mean, I really hope they don't kill her like this. Because I feel like she just looks too cool. And it's too cool of a idea. Like, I'm fine with her still dealing with an infection 3 months in. I feel like it's an interesting thing at least. But I don't think she should die from this. And I don't want this to be established as a thing that could happen where you could cut your hand off after getting bitten, and even 3 months later you would still potentially be dying. Although, again, with certain information that we learn in World Beyond's post-credit scene, which I'm going to talk about more extensively in that review, we learn that I guess there are different strains of the zombie virus or something. At least that's the impression it gives off, that scene. So potentially that walker could have been infected with something different. Thus, different way of how infection works. That can also be cool. And people did say, or at least I heard rumors, that Fear the Walking Dead and The Walking Dead World Beyond were supposed to have some kind of connection in the final episode of The Walking Dead World Beyond. And that's kind of the only thing that makes sense to be a connection. Because otherwise, it's really fucking hella convenient to have two things that have to do with change in how we perceive walkers and their behavior and how they work in two different shows at the same time. It's just hell convenient for that to happen in both shows at the same time. And not even like an episode of straight up in both of the finales. Although maybe the connection between the two shows could also be that main characters both lost their left arm, so I don't know. But yeah, this one is just a crazy episode. It's just crazy. That's kind of where I'm gonna end it, I guess. It's just crazy, and I don't even know how to feel about it. It's just crazy. I don't know how to even rate it, depending on where it goes. I might be pissed off by the storyline, and I might hate it in the long run. But right now, it definitely subverted my expectations, that's for sure. So in terms of focusing on this episode on its own, I think I'm gonna give it like a 9.3 out of 10. Which might be a little bit of a high rating, but I'm just like still dumbfounded at what happened. I'll probably be dreaming about it even tonight. And I haven't felt this shocked since the main show's season 9, episode 8, I feel like. Because like there have been some really cool and shocking moments, like the bike scene and everything, but the Whisperer scene in season 9, episode 8 was just so shocking and so subverting of my expectations that it really stuck with me for a while. I kept thinking about what the fuck just happened for quite a while. And I feel like I'm gonna do that for this episode of Fear as well for a long time. Yeah, I don't know. I just don't know. What do you guys think about this episode? Comment down below and let's have a discussion about it. And as usual, before we end this video, I just want to give a huge shout out and thanks to my currently 3 patrons on Patreon: Omari Bridgman, Deadpool, and Lemonade. Thank you guys for your support. I really appreciate it. It really means a lot to me that you have decided to support me because you enjoy my videos that much, or maybe you want to get some special content like on my Patreon. It just means a lot to me that you care enough to support me. And I hope you continue to do that for a long time. And now, before we end this video, I just want to talk about something to you guys very quickly, which some of you may or may have not noticed before or know about me, that being the fact that I am trans. And yes, this may come as shocking to some of you because I don't really flaunt it that much on my channel, or at least I feel like I don't. Outside of like my K-pop reactions, which is where I feel like the most comfortable being myself like this. And yeah, I am in fact trans. I'm not necessarily full-on male to female, but I heavily want to transition to being pretty female. I do consider myself more non-binary though, or maybe gender fluid would be the best descriptor as well, because I do have occasional moments where I feel fine being like just a normal guy, but most of the time, like right now, I do feel very dysphoric. And that's why I'm asking you guys for any help that you can give me, because my situation right now, I don't really see any way outside of you guys' help. Because, and this is gonna be kept short and concise, I live with my parents. They're never going to accept me as a trans person. They just never will. And as a matter of fact, back when I started the YouTube channel, I was actually kind of slightly starting my transition back then, with like starting to grow out my hair. I even got to DIY HRT, but because my parents started noticing certain things, like my behavior had changed a lot and my clothes had changed a lot, I kind of had to stop doing that, because they were constantly nagging me about cutting my hair and just started to kind of be threatening in a certain way, and felt like they were ashamed of me and everything. And that just kind of stress just tired me out to the point where I just gave up. But as dysphoria goes, it just doesn't go away, you know. I still feel like this, and in fact it's somewhat been intensifying again recently, so I just wanted to share this with you guys. And again, I would really appreciate any amount of support you can give me in regards to this, because I just don't see any way out of this. Because even if I moved out of my parents' house and got myself a job and everything, that's just not gonna work for long-term planning, because once I transition, it's like I probably will not be able to get myself a job, because my country is very transphobic. Nobody gives a shit about LGBT people at all. So there's not even much I can do even in terms of transitioning here. So yeah, I don't know. I just would appreciate any amount of support you can give me, be it monetarily or in any way otherwise. And this is not about boosting my channel or anything, or guilt tripping you with my sob story. I just wanted to get this off my chest and make my subscribers aware of the situation that I am in, and that I would appreciate anything that you guys can help me out with. It would mean literally everything. Like, for example, a friend that I made after starting this YouTube channel, my good friend Yuri, has been helping me out a lot. And I genuinely might have not been here if it wasn't for him showing up and befriending me. So yeah, this just went a little bit longer than I intended, but I would just really appreciate anything you can support me with. That's kind of ultimately what I'm trying to say. And yeah, hope you guys enjoyed this video, and if you did, please leave a like and subscribe. Also, check out the description of my Twitter if you want to follow me over there, and to my Wattpad or post my stories, because in addition to doing all these videos on my channel, I'm also a writer. And if you enjoy my stories, or you simply enjoy my videos, you can head over to my Patreon or to my Ko-fi account, where you can pledge your support and help get the channel going, help support me so I can keep writing the stories you enjoy. But if you don't want to do it, that's completely fine. You can still help me out in other ways, like liking this video, subscribing to the channel, and especially sharing this video with somebody who you think might enjoy it. And I think this is pretty much it for this video, so hopefully I'm gonna see you in the next one. Bye!